After Israeli special forces took control of the Gaza hospital, they began an operation to find the main Hamas operation base that they suspect is under the hospital complex. They want to find this base for two main reasons. Number one, according to their intelligence, they believe that the base exists. In fact, they released this video animation showing the network of tunnels that traverse under the massive hospital complex. So they believe that this underground Hamas operational base is the perfect place to keep hostages. It is logical. The complex is sprawling with activity, a lot of movement, and it's difficult to know exactly what is going on. So it's the perfect place to hide something, and like they say in the intelligence community, if you want to hide something, hide it in plain sight. Number two, because the world holds Israel to a higher standard than Hamas, which is understandable because Israel is a sovereign country while Hamas call themselves freedom fighters. So it's understandable, but the problem is the higher standard the world holds Israel forces them to go the extra mile, more than any other country in the world. When Israel says something, the world will always demand proof, but no one demands proof from Hamas. They're giving them an undue advantage, despite being the aggressor. Israel said that Hamas has an operational base under the hospital in Gaza. The United States agrees with that information because obviously Israel shares raw intelligence with them. Apart from that, they've intercepted communications between Hamas operatives that proves they're using the hospital as a command center and weapons storage. On the other hand, many countries are demanding they show proof that it exists, and they're trying hard to show the world the proof. Despite all the weapons that Hamas operatives hid in the hospital that they've shown to the public, the world is still demanding proof of the Hamas operational base. Looking at this video, you can see behind the magnetic image resonance machine, many places are littered with combat gear, including under children's bed. There's no way in the world that workers in this massive hospital complex will say they don't know about all the discoveries Israeli special forces have made. Is this in any way related to why they refused to evacuate the hospital? It's understandable that there are many people receiving treatment in the hospital that can't be moved, but these discoveries prove that there are other factors at play. To be fair, it doesn't prove that they are in support of Hamas. After all, Hamas is the government and they run the Gaza hospital, and considering how they treat their fellow citizens, they dare not oppose them. Many countries, including the United Nations, have been calling for the Israeli special forces' withdrawal from the hospital, because there shouldn't be any form of combat in a hospital. But looking at the discoveries so far, it shows that Hamas already turned the hospital into a combat zone even before the Israeli special forces arrived. What does international law and Geneva Convention say about this? If Hamas operatives fire from a hospital, their opponents have all the right to return fire because they've turned the hospital to a combat zone. But whatever the convention says, it would never apply to Hamas because the mind of some people are already made up, especially the United Nations. This brings us to the main subject. Why is the United Nations always against Israel? Why haven't they passed a resolution condemning Hamas? In 2022 alone, the United Nations passed more resolutions condemning Israel more than the rest of the world put together. Not that the United Nations resolutions have any consequence, it's just that it looks overly one-sided. Refusing to condemn Hamas means they support Hamas and don't see anything wrong in what they did. It's easy to be on the outside and never experienced what Israeli citizens are forced to live with. No country will tolerate rockets raining down on them. In fact, going by how Israel responds every time Hamas begins what they can't finish, they are very, very restrained. We can all see what Russia is doing in Ukraine. Credit to them, and thanks for watching.
In military terms, this is a grab bag, grab and go of a Hamas combatant. And if you zoom in and we get some light over here, what you will be able to see is military equipment. There is an AK-47, there are cartridges, ammo, there are grenades in here, of course uniform, and all of this was hidden very conveniently, secretly behind the MRI machine. On the other side, we found a backpack with what appears to be very important intelligence, including a laptop, and we'll show you that momentarily. Let's go see the next room. So we're still in the MRI center. The backpack was found in here, and it was also hidden behind the MRI machine. As you can see, the rest of the equipment here is proper hospital equipment, right? Bandages and medical gear. It seems as if there's no real shortage because there's a lot of equipment here, but we'll leave that for another discussion. Let's go see weapons and other prohibited items. As we walk through the main corridor here, our troops did a preliminary search of the area. We tried to uncover the cameras, but all of the cameras have been obstructed. You can see there's black tape covering it. And when our troops opened this closet here, which is in the main part of the clinic, this is what they found. These weapons have absolutely no business being inside a hospital. The only reason they're here is because Hamas put them here, because they use this place, like many other hospitals and ambulances and sensitive facilities inside the Gaza Strip, for their illicit military purposes. So there's Kalashnikov rifles here, even ammunition. And let's go see the next part of the of what we have here. Another MRI machine. Another MRI machine where behind it we also found contraband similar to what you saw in the other areas. And let's go see the last thing, which is more related to intelligence, which I think we will be able to extract quite a lot of interesting intelligence from. If you can see, follow me. Up here on top of a spare part of the MRI department, we found another grab bag. It's empty because we emptied it and cleared it so that we could use and see it. So this is where we found it, and here are the contents of the bag. The contents of the bag are full military kit for one Hamas terrorist. A live grenade, ammunition, fighting vest with insignia, boots, and of course uniforms, and last but not least, standard AK-47. Inside the hospital, hidden in a secluded area, take a look at this door here. Blast-proof door, which is part of the clinic and part of the infrastructure of the hospital. Everything else looks like a hospital, only this part doesn't. Last part. Now we will see something that our Intel researchers are looking into. Hold on, before we go on, let's have a look at what we found inside the very same cabinet that houses medical equipment. You can see all kinds of standard military medical stuff. We found another go-to bag, this bag here. And again, we opened it up in order to make sure that it's safe to touch and show. So please don't give me any of that. You opened it up and you placed it there. This is the bag that we found, and this is the stuff that was in it. Now, there's insignia, military insignia, a knife. For those of you who read Arabic, you'll be able to understand what it says here. But it's Hamas, the military wing, Kataib al-Qassam, of course a vest with equipment, and as always an AK-47, standard gear, grab and go, which they thought would be a good place to store inside a hospital. And the last item, which I'm sure will be very interesting to analyze, is a laptop. We found it in the MRI room. This is how the laptop looks. I don't know who it belonged to, but now it is being analyzed by our Intel people. Tactical radio communications, which we will analyze. Lots of disks, which will be analyzed. And a computer, which at first glance already provides a lot of incriminating evidence